Hey, good morning, and how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing amazing. So, we're back working on chapter number 11 of Echoes of the Cosmic Veil. Of course, last chapter, a whole crapload happened. We did have Trag pass away. And so, we're going to start working on chapter number 11 today. Let me get chat up real quick and we'll jump right into things. It seems like my phone is going extra freaking slow this morning. Okay, and it does look like we may have chat up, which is a good sign. Man, I hope you guys are all freaking doing awesome in your personal lives, kicking butt and getting goals done. So, chapter 11, we're going to get right into it. Of course, everything just went down. We're going to touch this up. I kind of looked at it for 1 second, but not a lot. So, we got Rory and I made our way back to the crew quarters where Brandon, Toby, Orion, and Zach were standing. Okay, let's touch this a little bit. Still. And we're gonna have them still standing in a state of disbelief. Trag's body had been moved already, but the destruction from the blast was still apparent. Blood still coated much of the corridor. Now, with the smoke and chaos cleared, I could see the blast had destroyed the doorway of my quarters. Then I noticed the anger on Zach's face as he began yelling at me. How did this happen, Sam? You were supposed to be watching them and watching our back. Now Blake is lying in the medical bay and Trag is dead. Zach's face flushed red as he stepped closer towards me, balling his fists. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that like that. I like it so far. Orion pushed his way between us as if to control Zach's rage. As he tried to calm down the situation, Orion said, Look, none of us know what happened, but we all knew that there were risks before coming. Sam, you owe us an explanation on how this happened with you watching them. I thought you had us taken care of. I knew deeply that this was my fault, at least in part. I gathered myself and explained I'm sorry. I don't know exactly what happened, but I will find out. I made a mistake. I got distracted with Kara. We went to the med bay to get something, and we ended up hooking up. I had started watching Daniel and Ethan beforehand, and it did not seem like they were doing anything. In the end, though, I should have never gotten distracted. I'm sorry. Toby stepped forward, trying to push past Orion, saying, So this is your fault? You and Carol were busy doing each other instead of watching our backs? You better hope Blake makes it, because I will never forgive you for this if he doesn't. Think we've got that fixed? I think we need the other part of the quote here. Toby took a couple breaths to calm himself down before saying, We're going to go check on my brother. You need to figure out what happened, as he walked away. I'm not loving that. I will touch this up a little later when I get home tonight, just so you guys know. Also, my second stream is going to be a little bit later in the day. So, I have a whole crapload going on, and in all honesty, have not slept much last night. Woke up way early. Trag had been one of my best friends, along with being the person who had brought us this opportunity. Now he was dead. Trag had always been a good guy to me, and Blake was seriously injured, so I wanted to know exactly what had happened. I patched in with a direct link and started pulling all the ship surveillance files from the time I last watched Daniel and Ethan to the time of the explosion. Around an hour after I had previously watched them, they started working on putting 3 devices together in Ethan's quarters. Daniel then armed himself with a heavy laser pistol from a stash of weapons they had brought aboard. Ethan took the 3 devices, placed Okay. In. Okay. Ethan took three devices. Three. Ethan took three devices, placing them in a satchel along with a couple fragmentation grenades and a laser carbine. After going over the plan for the last time, they split up. Ethan was to place bombs at the arms rooms, the warp compression field generator, and my quarters. If I was in my quarters, he was to kill me, then plant the device in my room to explode and cause more of a distraction. If I was not there, he was to leave the device set to explode when I arrived back and found it. After planting the device, he was to stay in the area and make sure the job was finished no matter what. Daniel was to make his way to the ship's bridge and wait to hear the explosions before making his move during the chaos. After taking the bridge, he was to message the elves and relay vital information along with an update on how the plan was going. Most of the plan played out as they had expected until Ethan could not get access to engineering to place the device on the warp compression generator. From there, he became panicked, placing the device outside of the blast doors protecting engineering. Ethan then rushed to my quarters, sloppily planting the device in front of my door, right as Trag rounded the corner to witness it. Trag was coming to my quarters with some bliss and seemed to have been planning to hang out. Ethan tried to walk away, but as Trag reached for the satchel, while call reached the satchel would still be on him. While calling him, he detonated the devices. Oh. You know what? I don't think we did this right. Hold on. Okay. Ready? Most of the plan played out as they expected, with him placing the first device near the arms room. It went south when Ethan could not get access to engineering to place the device on the warp compression generator. From there, he became panicked, placing the device outside of the blast doors protecting engineering. Ethan then rushed to my quarters, sloppily planting the device in front of my door, right as Trag rounded the corner to witness it. Trag was coming to my quarters with some bliss and seemed to have been planning to hang out. Ethan tried to walk away, but as Trag reached for the device while calling him, he detonated the device. The way things played out seemed to have caught Ethan off guard as he was still scrambling to figure out what had happened as Blake and Toby came out of their quarters. Blake quickly looked over the situation, realizing Ethan's startled look as he raised his laser carbine, leveling it to fire on them. With no time to get out of the way, Blake moved to shield his brother, taking a full burst right as we had arrived. From there, I knew what had occurred. I disconnected from the system and started to make my way to the medbay to check on Blake. As I entered, everyone turned, looking at me with judgment still remaining in their eyes. Blake was in the regen tank, alive but still unconscious. Toby was sitting on the floor on a blanket in front of Blake's regen tank. Brandon, Orrin, Washington, and Zach seemed to have been in the middle of a serious conversation. I disregarded their looks so I could tell them what I had found and get an update on how Blake was doing. I asked, "Is he okay?" Washington stepped forward, saying, "Thankfully, we got him here fast, and Sarah was able to use her healing abilities to help him, or he would be dead. We're really lucky to have had a healer, or he would have likely died before the medical nanites would have had a chance to have stabilized him." Orrin informed us he watched some of the ship's officers searching Daniel and Ethan's quarters and gathering up weapons they had. They also made a full search of the room and the ship. Okay. I don't think we obviously they searched the room, right? So let's do this. They also made a full search of the ship for any more of those explosive devices. Washington stood up, saying, "We should find out what more we can do if anybody wants to go with me." Orrin nodded in agreement as he walked to the door, saying, "Yeah, I need something to focus on." As they left, I hoped they would find something of value. I stayed watching over Blake, wishing I would have done things differently for a while. We all sat quietly. Then Toby asked, "Why did they do this? Why would Daniel and Ethan be working with the elves?" Brandon stood up as if to gather his thoughts. He was knowledgeable when it came to almost anything. Brandon explained he believed that they were Druenmar, a faction of humans controlled and loyal to the Alamari Empire of Elves. The Druenmar are complete religious fanatics who forsake all cybernetic and genetic modification, serving one of the three elven empires from from before the Great War. I think that we can just leave. And let's just call it ancient elven empires, right? That okay. When the horrors arrived, they believed that it was judgment upon the whole of this plane for the abominations of the humans and others modifying themselves with genetic manipulations and cybernetic technology. The Alamari believed that the other elves had lost their way, forsaking their traditions and becoming too much like humans, who they considered corrupt. They sought out a powerful horror, pledging loyalty and providing sacrifices to it during the dark times. Over the years, they became twisted and driven to profane madness, but often rewarded with strange powers. As time went on, they served the horrors as their chosen gods, growing powerful in the use of dark magic. I knew a little about. Ooh, see, let's do this. This would have all been Brandon telling us that, so that would have all been a actual statement. Now look over it. Double check. Brandon stood up. Oh, he doesn't say it as a quote. Never mind, guys, we're good. I knew a little bit about pre war history and the elves, and also thought Daniel and Ethan had been Druenmar. I was also sure everything likely had something to do with Amelia, the scientist we were headed to retrieve, but I was not sure what. I was not sure how much to say, and wanted to delve further into the data inside my AI. I wanted something to bring more clarity to the situation, so I excused myself politely. I really wished there was some way I could I really wished there was some way I could fix everything, but we were past that now. At this point, the best I could do is 2. Work to prevent anything further from happening. While I walked back to my quarters, I came around the corner and almost walked into Kiara, who was completely distracted. She immediately looked up to see it was me, then averted her eyes, composed herself, and simply walked away without a word. I wanted to speak to her badly and knew she was aware of that, but she did not even glance back. I did not have time for the shifting emotions of a woman, not even a hot one, so I decided to get back to my quarters and see what I could find in the AI's data. So that's where we're at. I'm going to touch this a little, but honestly, this chapter I wasn't annoyed with at all. I don't know what I would change about it. I actually like how this went. Um, the rest of it I'll be touching a lot this weekend. And of course, on Monday, we'll move forward with chapter 12. We're freaking knocking through this, you guys. I'd really like to say thank you so much for being amazing. I really do appreciate you guys every morning hanging out. I hope you guys are rocking in your own personal life. We'll be getting this book up and finished, obviously, within the month or so. And then from there, we'll write a new one, do some more stuff, figure out something exciting to do. I hope you guys have a great day. I will be back later. It will be later today. And so have a great one. Peace, very best wishes, and stay epic.